Thank you to everyone who is here so far. I'm going to give a few courtesy minutes to let other people join. And please do be mindful the meeting is being recorded, which will be accessible to you later on.
Are you unmuted? Mm-hmm. Good morning. This is Jim Flynn. I'm on Allison's computer.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for joining.
Yes, ma'am.
Give it about another minute and a half, and then I'll jump in. Kind of wish this app came with like hold music or something. So we'll go ahead and get started while, maybe some other people will join. I'll make another announcement. This is being recorded. And didn't know, I'm Angel. My last name is Souls, and I am the program manager for the Energy Efficiency Equity Grant Program here at the Maryland Energy Administration. I am pleased to welcome you to the program. I'm very excited that we do have such a great number of awardees this fiscal year. So congratulations on receiving your award. I know we're going to have a lot of questions, and I hope to answer them during all the yapping I'm going to do. But please do either put them in the chat or kind of hold them for when I ask for questions. I'm seeing a lot of people have trouble with audio. I don't know if it's me or you all. So hopefully when the recording comes, it is clearer. It keeps cutting out. Yeah, I'm not sure the reason for that. I am using a Wi-Fi here at our office. Larissa, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry for that. Some people are having trouble hearing me. Like I said, hopefully the recording sounds clearer. I did also want to just let you know that on the call with me today is Larissa, who is an energy specialist here and has been really instrumental in moving the program forward. And you will have seen emails probably from her and received some calls and all of that. And then also my section chief, Lisa, is here. If you want to say something, that's fine. You don't have to, of course.
No, just glad to be here and appreciate everybody joining on as well. Thanks so much.
Awesome. So that's our internal team. We also have on the call our technical contractor, who is a huge support for making this grant possible, and that is Newport, and there are several members from their team here. It is not likely you'll be interacting with them directly, but they are behind the scenes doing a ton, and they are, Sam, Evan, and Rebecca are here on the call as well. And if we do get to a point in the questions that I can't answer, it's likely that I'll be turning to them for help. I'm really sorry for those that are having issues with the audio, but I'm going to do my best to get through this. And like I said, hopefully the recording is clearer. And when I send out the recording, a training video, I'll include one-on-one office hours that are available that you can schedule through a link. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and then I'm going to be sharing some documents. First, I see a lot, but not 100% of our recipients on the call. And there is a hand raise button on the bottom of your screen in this application. So I want to see if you are a first-time grant recipient for the EEE program specifically. Will you click that hand raise button for me? So, right. Oh, great. Lots of hands. Okay, go ahead and lower those. And then if you are returning, please use that same raised hand. Awesome, so many. Okay, thank you for applying for this program. Again, we are happy to welcome you back. Okay, and those can lower. If you're here on accident and you're just staying to be nosy, raise your hand. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so thank you. I'm so happy we have this many people on the call with us, and I'm happy to start moving through. I know one of the biggest program questions that you're going to have is, when am I getting my agreement? And I am working feverishly along with Lisa and Larissa to get those out to you. We did have a couple that we were able to send out. And then we have many more to go, obviously, but I do expect that within the next week and a half, so maybe 10 days, everyone should have their grant agreement. Just to explain a little bit about what happens when I send it to you, you all on your end will have your signatory sign it and send it back to me. And then we will put an official stamped date signifying the start of your cycle, and I'll send it back to you right away. And then you're free to start work. So that's how that will go. It will come along with some additional information in your email. But if you have questions once you receive the agreement, please do let me know. But that will be what the process is in terms of you receiving your actual paperwork. So really the purpose of this welcome call is to kind of walk through some of the key components of the grant agreement, what it will mean for you in terms of implementing your grant for the next 2 years, and then what to reference when you have questions and things like that. So what I will do, and there are several types of projects that were available through this grant. So grant agreements are templated, but a little different for each grantee, but I'm going to go over some of the key components that should apply to everybody. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and a sample grant agreement now, and we'll go over some of those things. Okay. I know there are some people on the phone that may not be able to see this really well. So again, you'll get a sample and then you can ask questions later on and schedule a one-on-one with me. So you're seeing the local government. So let me zoom in just a little. All right, and I'm going to take this up to the top. And you'll see some highlighted areas here. We will do our best, and I would like you all to as well, reference everything by your grant number, particularly because there are grant recipients that have multiples. So just referring to the name of the organization won't be sufficient. So you'll get a grant number that will be indicated on multiple pages going down. Your name and address should be consistent with your W-9, which we learned throughout this process as a new program manager. Where you can do work is on here. So you submit in the application for a specific region. That's important because of our tracking and that we're making sure we're serving a fair number of households in each part of the state. And then cities and counties is on here as well. I do understand there are occasions where that you'll want to serve counties outside of what was originally on your grant agreement, and that will require an amendment. So it's important that you're servicing the Marylanders where you said you would be servicing them. And you can call me if you have questions about that. The number of buildings is estimated based on if you spent the maximum amount allowable per unit. So there is a number in there. It will say at least, not approximately, when you receive it. So at least this number of households. And then if you find that that's going to be a challenge, it's just a matter of a conversation about it. Okay. Your administrative or indirect costs, we'll talk about as we go down a little bit. We just put the maximum number, which is 15 or less. So you don't, have to spend the whole 15. Some people are at 10%. That is fine. We just needed to make this very templated so that everyone could be using a similar grant agreement, causes much less confusion. Okay, and then there's some areas where it's going to repeat some of these things. Definitions are going to be important. Those are the same for everybody. And then costs eligible for reimbursement, of course, is going to be the same for everyone. And then you'll see what your total award amount is, and then what that 15% is as far as the maximum amount of administrative costs you're able to spend. The term of the agreement. You get 2 years to spend the money. I understand we are getting a late start, so I completely understand if we are getting close, to that. We'll do a check-in 6 months out, and if we're getting close and you feel like you're not going to make that date, we'll have a conversation. It will require an amendment. However, we're completely open to that because we're having a late start this season. Okay, but essentially, you should be completing all the work by August 1st and invoicing for that completed work by September 1st. That's the ideal. Okay, talks a little bit about the reimbursement process. That's, the same for everybody. The training we'll send out is on the MRA monthly reporting attachment, which as a part of your grant agreement is a sample called Attachment C, but there will be a spreadsheet provided to you by us that you fill out, and that's how you will reimburse us. And that's how you can apply for reimbursement. All right. That monthly reporting attachment will be due by the 10th of each month. So you'll send it to me. We'll do our process along with Newport. For you to be recording the work you do for the following month and submitting that back to us. One important thing to note about this monthly reporting attachment is that you get one attachment for the entire 2-year grant cycle. And we're just hiding and showing the relevant tabs to you along the way. So it's important that when I send you a report, you're not like saving a copy and sending me something new and doing all these things. We want the same report we send back, and that is really important for our tracking. Okay, and that will be more clear once you watch the training video. All right, and then the rest of this is pretty, it's self-explanatory. General provisions are the same for every grant in MEA. They're not program specific, so you can read through that at your leisure. They're also available on our website, so you don't have to wait to review that. And then after this will be your scope of work. So let me stop sharing here. And then I'm going to share with you a sample scope of work. This, again, we have 4 different project categories. So this particular form may not be applicable to every single grantee, but it is a sample of what you can expect to receive as a part of your grant agreement. It will be called Attachment B. It's going to come right after general provisions. And it will have a project description, what the deliverable is going to be. If you had specific, like if you're doing commercial work and you had specific buildings, that will be listed. And then it just goes through everything that's allowed to be done within your scope of work for the type of project you chose. So if you chose residential whole home, it will look very similar to this. If you chose limited upgrades, it's going to look a little different, but it's going to show exactly what's allowable under your grant agreement scope of work. Okay. So that will be attachment B. And then there's going to be, like I mentioned before, attachment C, which is the sample monthly reporting attachment. Okay. Also, you will be receiving as a separate document the Maryland Historical Trust Review. So for residential grant agreements, that will look pretty much the same for everyone. Attachment B is not editable. I'm sorry, somebody did ask a question. It will be stock language, so that's not editable. Your Maryland Historical Trust waiver will say what work is allowed based on the age of the building and all of that. For residential grant agreements, it will look the same for everyone. So you just want to be checking that against the building that you're retrofitting, the home that you're retrofitting. If it's commercial, then it will be specific to your building and scope of work. Okay, and those will come out with your grant agreement. And actually, just before we started the call, for those who have received your grant agreement already, I received notification that those are ready. So if you received your grant agreement, you'll get it shortly. And then if you haven't received yet your grant agreement, it'll come along with that. Okay. There's a couple of questions that are relevant to what I've said so far. The grant is reimbursable. So yes, you do the work, prove that you've done the work, show invoices for the work, and then you bill us for the work and we reimburse you. Okay, and that you're able to invoice us once a month. Okay, and then our Maryland Historical Trust waivers are specific. So if you have another grant from MEA, you may be able to get one for the other program.
For a few seconds, we didn't hear the last couple seconds of what you said.
Oh, sorry. The about the Maryland Historical Trust, those are program specific, mainly because they're scope of work specific. So I just want to make that clarifying question. Let me go back to my outline before I call on the next hand. Okay, it might be a good place to see. Amy, you had a question. Did you want to come off mute? Yes, no. Okay, I'm not hearing much. Damola, can you clarify your question for me?
I was wondering, is it in terms of after the invoice is sent, is the payment reimbursed within like net 30, net 90, net 60?
30 days is our processing goal. Now, when I say that, I mean we will process it within 30 days. It will take longer than that to get to you. So I apologize for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. All right, let us see where we are. So some of the things that might be helpful to know, you're probably going to have questions for me throughout the grant process on what is allowable, what isn't, and what I'm going to do is, number one, reference your grant agreement and make sure I know how to answer your question. So it would be good to start there. And if you have a question that is not answered in there, I usually will go to the funding opportunity announcement, which is what you read in order to submit your application. So you'll go there next for getting any of your questions answered. And then if it's outside of that, absolutely schedule a call with me. Just call me. The mobile number that's in my contact information, you can text that number. I'm open to all forms of communication to get your questions answered. If you can't find it within the documentation that you're going to be provided, there are occasions where you may need an exception to what's in the agreement, right? And that's open for a conversation as well. So we do aim to work within the confines of that agreement and what that funding opportunity announcement says. I also have a goal to get as many Marylanders serviced as possible. So if there's something that you want to do that is not explicitly in your agreement, please do reach out. There is room for exceptions. They just need to be approved by MEA first. Don't do the work and cross your fingers. Give me a shout and let's chat it out and get approval before you move forward with something like that, is an exception. Okay. Again, some things just to reference that funding opportunity announcement about would be things like the cost effectiveness of your project, making sure those numbers fall within our payback lines, spending limits on your property that's outlined in there. There are rules for HVAC replacements in there. Of course, we're focusing as an agency, really as an industry, on electrification right now, which is why you can't replace fossil fuel powered appliance with another fossil fuel powered appliance. You need to do electrification. And then you would need to make sure, if you're only doing HVAC replacements, that weatherization has taken place within the last 5 years for that property, and you need to be able to document that. And then with multifamily units, it is stated explicitly that the fuel switch may not shift the energy burden onto the resident if it wasn't there before. Okay, so that's important. And those things, of course, are all spelled out in that funding opportunity announcement. And you can check that against the allowable measures that will show up in your scope of work, of course. Okay. When you're sending your monthly reporting back to us, you just want to make sure you're not including any personally identifying information or sensitive information. You can put the unit address and stuff like that, but not for the customer themselves. That monthly reporting attachment does have a lot of metrics that we want to collect and information that is used for reporting. So, whether the household is moderate income or low income, which county it's in, how many people live in the household. It's a lot of information that we're collecting, but it is because this is a state-run agency and program, and we have people to answer to in terms of how we're using this money. So please be as thorough as possible filling out the reporting document that we're going to provide for you. And again, that will come with a training video that you can reference back along with this recording over and over again. And if it's still not making sense for you, please do give me a call. And if it's something I can't answer, we'll get Newport involved, of course. Okay. The other thing I wanted to make sure you know is that the email where I've been sending out notifications along the way, that is where you'll send all your reporting things to. And anything specific to the fiscal year 24 grant, you'll use that same email address. Okay. And then really, I think that's about it in terms of what I needed to make sure I shared with you all. This is a good time to put questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have additional questions. And maybe, Larissa, did I miss anything that you think is important?
Hi, everyone. My camera's off just to help make, I guess, the internet work better. I just wanted to note that, and Angel, please correct me if this is incorrect, but you will not be reimbursed if you start work before you review and sign and send us back a copy of your signed grant agreement. We are working so hard to get those out to you, but it has happened in the past where people are, they receive their commitment letter, they're so excited to start, and they, spend and invest in weatherization things and different projects, and we unfortunately are not able to, grant them that receipt because they did that prior to reviewing, signing, and sending us back.
Thank you for that, Larissa. Yes, so if you have, so the commitment letter does explicitly state that you are doing work at your own risk if you do it before you receive the grant agreement. I will say it is not a 100%, absolutely not, that you won't be reimbursed, but you absolutely won't be reimbursed before you have your signed grant agreement, right? So you may, if you contact me directly and we talk about it, you may be able to reimburse for work done, for instance, in September, on an October reporting attachment, but we need to have that conversation first. All right, the email address is in the chat. Please do copy and also add that as a contact in your
Reports
email.
right here. LMI reports at MEA.
And then I have some hands. Open the queue. Okay.
Oops.
All right. I think that was that. Jim Flynn, did you have your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. Two quick ones. We've gotten our MOUs and they're signed and they're I guess date stamped or whatever up top. I just want to be clear because for the last couple of years we always got an email that said permission to proceed so we could put it in the file. You're saying today that once we have those in with the stamp on them, we're good to go for LMI.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Secondly, is on the MRA, there is a checklist at the bottom on the left-hand corner at the bottom of the page. We've sent our documents in for the checklist, but I just want to make sure you have to have that checklist done before you can submit in and receive reimbursement, correct?
I would like it as soon as possible. I did receive your documents. So yes, you're fine to proceed. And some of those we had received during the application process for some awardees. So you're free to proceed, but yes, we need those documents during this grant period.
Okay, and MHT is good to go. We're just waiting for the document to be forwarded from you.
That's correct, which you'll get today.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for your questions. There was another hand, but it went away. Did your question get answered? China?
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier about when we are electrifying a home or doing a fuel switch, and then making sure that the energy burden doesn't fall on the homeowner. But wouldn't it inherently, and this might just be my own misunderstanding or lack of knowledge, when you're like increasing electric usage, isn't there going to be inherently, and so how do we navigate that?
So what I was referencing, so yes, you're absolutely on the right page. If someone electrifies where they weren't spending money on electricity before, they are spending it there now. It won't be a total offset by getting rid of the fossil fuel. So yes, but what I was referencing is if you, for instance, are retrofitting a multifamily building where the building owner pays the heating bill, for instance, when you convert to electric, you can't then like put individual units in every unit and then say, now you have to pay the bill as the occupant. So shifting that the bill essentially to the occupant where it wasn't before wouldn't be allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. Reimbursements. Let's see. Reimbursements can be facilitated by the granting partner, meaning that the granting partner submits the invoice, not an associated contractor. So yes, you can have a third party do your reporting and submitting of invoices on your behalf. That's okay. The check will not go to them. So that's on you all to get that that third party contractor paid, but you can absolutely have someone to do the work for you. The money will go to what's on the W-9. So Adam, sorry, we asked our contractors to supply most of the energy conservation measures testing confirmation on our commercial projects. Will this suffice? We would like as much information as possible to get on that monthly reporting attachment. So this question is about supplying the testing confirmations for commercial projects from the contractor that's working on behalf of the grant recipient. We would want this copied over to the monthly reporting attachment. Again, for our tracking purposes, that spreadsheet that you're going to receive is a very powerful tool. There's a lot working in the background that helps us for our 2-year tracking process and reporting those numbers to the powers that be afterwards. So it is preferable, if it's not impossible, it is preferable for you to put all the tracking information on that monthly reporting attachment. Also, it helps you get paid faster if it's on the reporting attachment. If there's a lot of things we have to do outside of that, it does delay that process. All right. Oh, Evan answered that, so thank you. All right, thanks, Evan. And then for reimbursement of admin indirect costs, how does that work? So there will be on the monthly reporting attachment, there is a section for program costs, and then a separate location for you to record administrative or indirect costs, as well as some awardees did receive monies for training. There's a place to input that as well. And it does calculations for you so you can see how much of your monies you've spent and what's left. And there's even a tab to show you your progress in terms of if you're meeting paybacks regularly and all of that. The paybacks are in aggregate over the life of your grant cycle. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be 15-year payback for residential, 20-year payback for commercial, every single project. But over the life of your grant, we do want to see an average of that. And so, you know, that hopefully that helps someone understand what we're doing there. Reporting is due even if you do not have work to invoice, and that will be explained to you as well in the video and email. You do need to submit a report whether or not you're invoicing. If there's any Evan answered further on the fitting energy conservation measures onto the monthly reporting attachment. So let me read through this question. Most of the jobs will be leveraged with DOE or Empower funds. Great. If the total job meets 15-year payback criteria, then it doesn't matter which measure. Yes, that's correct. So if the total job meets the 15-year payback criteria, then it doesn't matter which measures are designated to be reimbursed by MEA. In other words, if the MEA designated measures get lesser payback, it's the total project that counts. Yes. Okay. Let me just make sure. Okay. I do want to say that we are in the process of revamping the quality control / quality assurance process on our end. So there is a provision in your grant agreement that allows for us to do some quality control in the way of maybe submitting pictures of jobs, maybe a site visit on a job, things like that. So that will be coming down the pike in terms of what that process is going to look like. Larissa and I are working really hard to make it, streamlined for both you as the awardee and for us. So that will be a part of the process as well. And then just future casting at the end of your grant cycle, we are also creating like a better closeout process because we want you to, and this will be retroactive. So going back to fiscal year 22, we will do this where you understand how you performed on your grant. Did you spend all the money? Did you need paybacks? All of those, what your stats were essentially, which will help you going forward in applying for the grant in the future. I think it's important for you all to have that information. Tara, did you have a question? Okay, Jim Flynn.
One question is for, are we planning on putting out new grants for next year, or are you going to wait until next summer and put out again? So I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to spend my time in the next 2 months.
That's a very fair question. And by month's end, it is our goal to release the fiscal year 25 funding opportunity announcement and application. So the way yes, it's a lofty goal, but that is my goal. This program releases new money every year, right? And then you get 2 years to spend that money. But every year it is, as long as they say energy efficiency equity gets money, we are releasing it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My pleasure. So I don't have anything else unless someone else has additional questions they need to ask. Again, I'm going to send you the recording along with the training video for your monthly reporting attachment. And I'm also going to send links for scheduling a one-on-one appointment with me if you have further questions or just want to get detailed in terms of your specific organization or local government. I did want to let you know that I have support in terms of facilitating this grant in my section chief, Lisa, Larissa, the energy specialist, and then Newport, of course. Those are the main contacts that are working on this grant. And again, I am available by phone call, email, or text as well. Any last words from anybody? Okay, great. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of your time back. Hopefully you, have something you can do with it. And please do, again, thank you, everybody. Feel free to reach out if you have additional questions. All righty, take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.
My pleasure. You too. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. All right.